Alright, I want to talk some more about Powell's testimony yesterday, and in particular his critique of MMT. I wouldn't even use the word critique, I would say his just outright dismissal of MMT, which I'd say was pretty arrogant on his part. He really offered no rationale whatsoever for his dismissal of the concepts of MMT. And Powell is another one of these guys who made a lot of ridiculous statements, like the government is on an unsustainable fiscal path. Like, how many times have we heard that? And what exactly does that mean? What does it mean that the government is on an unsustainable fiscal path? Is the government going to run out of dollars? Is the United States government going to run out of dollars? I mean, what does that mean? And I wonder, too, if Powell were to be asked the question, or if he were to be asked to explain, well, here was the national debt in 1980 at $800 billion. Here it is today at $22 trillion, yet the interest rate in 1980 was 21%. Today it's virtually zero. Okay, it's 2.5% because the Fed put it there. But explain that dichotomy. I mean, you are saying on the one hand that the debts are unsustainable. The fiscal path is unsustainable. So you are inferring, or implied in that is, we are somehow needing to get the money from somewhere. There are creditors. So wouldn't it apply in that context that if the debt went up 30-fold, which it did in that time, how do you explain the fact that interest rates went from 21 to 0? I think he doesn't even really understand that the Fed itself sets the interest rate. I know they go and they have a meeting every month at the FOMC, and they say this is what the rate is going to be, and I know they do that. But do they know that the reason the rates came down is because the Fed, the rate setter, the monopolist, put the rate down? So it's really kind of an amazing thing to see. I mean, when he makes statements like this, I think he maybe even made a statement, I didn't hear it, but somebody sent me a comment to the effect that the United States may not even be able to pay its debts. Like, that's just a mind-blowing statement. This is from the guy who was at the head of the Federal Reserve. It's he runs the show. So statements like, yet he just can dismiss outright MMT in a very arrogant manner, just that's wrong. He says that's wrong. All right, that's wrong. That is his ideological opinion. That is his own personal dogma. He has no rationale or reasoning to explain why that is wrong. Now, maybe he felt he didn't have the time to go into it. He also kind of dismissively said, well, I never really saw an in-depth workup. That's what he said, an in-depth workup of this MMT, which I'm sure he did. I'm sure he read articles because it's been out there, okay? It's really, really been out there. But that is just very, very arrogant, I think. It's very dismissive. But the comments, I mean, really it's the comments that he made, the statements that he made, are really amazing to listen to. I mean, an unsustainable, and we've heard this from many others as well. I think Yellen said it. I think even Bernanke said it. What is an unsustainable fiscal path? I mean, look, we've been going on this now for 40 years. Almost 50 years. All right, when the U.S. went off the gold standard in 1971. All right, we're in 2019. So in another 2 years, that's going to be 50 years. And we've heard this over and over again, this unsustainable fiscal path. Now you would think, if this thing were based on science, I mean, if their views, if their theories were based on any kind of science, and I said this in my last video, and I've been saying this for a long time, like any credible science, if your theories are not observable in the empirical evidence, any credible science or scientist would go back to the drawing board and just say, something's wrong here. Something is not working out. Except for this brand of economics, this neoclassical mainstream economics. They somehow get a pass. They don't have to examine their theories. They are never called into question because their response is always, well, eventually it's going to happen. Well, we waited. How long do we have to wait? We're going on 50 years now. 50 years! And the amazing thing is, not only are they not called into question, but they double down. When they don't work, they double down on the same theories. This is the classic Einstein's definition of insanity. You keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result each time. So, yeah, I mean, you gotta really sit back and listen to this and be kind of blown away by the level of arrogance that these people have, where they never have to justify the wrongness of their ideas. I mean, it's really, really incredible. And that's not the worst part. The worst part is these guys are running the show everywhere, from the Federal Reserve to top policymakers, to central bankers throughout the world, to Wall Street, to the entire economics profession at the top schools, Harvard, Stanford, all these places. Never called into question. They're just allowed to continue on with these ideas that are not only wrong, like seriously, seriously wrong, but in many cases really, really destructive. I mean, if you look at the what happened after the financial crash and the austerity in Europe and the poverty it created, the mass unemployment, the enormous amounts of inequality, and we see it here in the United States too, but it was really, really intense in Europe, and they kept doubling down on the same failed ideas, never called into question. And when the ideas went bad, what did they do? They doubled up on the same ideas, said we just have to do it more. We just got to do more of it. And years passed and it never turned around. I mean, look at Japan. Japan is incredible. This quantitative easing that has been going on for like 20 years, bankrupting the banks. This wholesale, massive, quadrillion yen dump of reserves into the banking system, stripping out high quality assets. Banks can't even raise more capital anymore. They're all basically zombie banks. They're all basically insolvent. They're just functioning now as clearing mechanisms. That's it. So, and they keep doing it. I mean, Kuroda the other day said we may have to do it again. I mean, it is really, really amazing. So yeah, Powell with his comments, it's just wrong. Like, who are you to say that, man? Who are you to say that? Who are any of these guys to say that? Let their ideas be called into question. Let them justify the facts, the reality, which totally contradict what their positions are. Let them explain why, when the debt went up 30-fold, rates went down, or inflation went down, and none of the things that their theories would have said are going to happen, none of those things happen. Let them justify it. Waves his hand. Oh, that's wrong. That's his opinion, and that is his wrong opinion. Bye.